Howdy, everybody. Once again, Father Christopher with another lesson for our Family of Faith program. So today we're going to be looking at an activity number 2 on page 121 of the Parents' Guide. This will be coupled with using the scriptures and also the kids' book, page 112 and 113 in their books. However, I want to begin with a very short, I guess you could say, storybook time from the Bible itself. I have an illustrated version of the Bible that we're going to use for our kids just to give some background as to what the Passover is all about. It can be kind of heady to understand what it is, so we're just going to take our time to go through this particular passage from a illustrated Bible. And then from there, to go into the regular Bible to explain what takes place, and then the kids can answer the various questions in their book. So we're going to begin first with the story of Moses. So you can see here, Moses with his family, or actually Moses in the water being picked up by the daughter of the Pharaoh, so the princess, Moses. Jacob's descendants were called Israelites and Hebrews. Many of them lived in Egypt, and the new Pharaoh worried that they were becoming too powerful. From now on, whenever a baby boy is born to the Hebrews, he must be killed, ordered Pharaoh cruelly. Moses was born at this time, and his mother was afraid for his life. She wove a basket from rushes and carried it down to the river. Gently laying Moses inside, she placed the basket in the water. Her sister watched to see what would happen. Pharaoh's daughter found the basket among the reeds. She was as kind and gentle as her father was cruel. "This must be a Hebrew child," she said to herself. His parents must want very much to save him." Pharaoh's daughter saved Moses and reared him as her own son. So the picture of her taking him out of the water. And then there's Moses' regular mother, his real mother, who wanted to save him. As Moses grew up, he saw that the Israelites were treated very badly. One day he saw a soldier being beaten by one of his people. Or saw a soldier beating one of his people. Moses was so angry that he hit the soldier as hard as he could, and the man died. After killing the soldier, Moses realized that he must leave Egypt. Moses fled to the land of Midian, where he became a shepherd. One day, Moses was out with his flock when a bush suddenly burst into flames. The flames burned brightly, but to his surprise, the leaves and branches of the bush stayed green and fresh. A voice spoke to him from the bush. "Moses, listen to me, for this is your God. Your people are suffering under Pharaoh, and you must lead them out of Egypt." Moses was amazed. "But Lord," he cried, "no one will listen to a poor shepherd like me." "Have faith," replied God. "Now go to Pharaoh." You can see a couple things in this one. This is up here with Moses. He's dressed like an Egyptian, and he hits that person so hard that they die. And this other one, you see Moses as he sees the burning bush. We have an actual image of this in our church in the stained glass windows. So you can see the burning bush there, and you can see sandals, just like in here, sandals that have been taken off as he makes his way to the burning bush, because he's on holy ground. As God had commanded, Moses first asked Pharaoh to let the Israelites leave Egypt, to go and worship God in the desert. But Pharaoh refused. So God sent a series of plagues to make Pharaoh let them go. First, the Nile River, and all the water in Egypt turned to blood. Ew. Then the land was overrun with frogs. Then everything was infested with gnats, and flies filled the air. The animals died except those owned by the Israelites, and all the Egyptians suffered painful sores and boils. A great hailstorm destroyed all the crops, and any plants still alive were eaten by a huge swarm of locusts. God plunged the whole land into darkness, but still the hard-hearted Pharaoh refused to let the Israelites go. So you can see some of the plagues over here. Take a look. So you can see the frogs, and you can see a locust. You can see the water that's turned to blood. You can even see some hail falling in the background there. Let's take a close look. And even the darkness in the background. Finally, God sent the most terrible plague of all. His angel visited every household and killed every firstborn male. But God had warned Moses the angel would pass over the houses of Israelite families, who had marked their doorposts with the blood of a lamb sacrificed to God. The Israelite families were not harmed. At last, Pharaoh had to agree, and God brought the people out of the land of Egypt. Wow. Quite the story. 10 different plagues, all to let the people go out of Egypt. And you can see the Pharaoh here, he's not too impressed. He doesn't seem to care all that much, even though his land was overrun with locusts and other sorts of things. Now, what we're going to do from here, now that we understand that the Passover was the 10th plague, we're going to learn more directly about what the Passover is and its connection to the Eucharist or to the Mass. So if you have your Bibles, you can open them up to Exodus chapter 12, and we're going to be doing verses 3 through 20. So for our kids, for our youth, open up your books to 112 or 113. It says at the very top, Passover sacrifice. Passover sacrifice. So on these pages, you can follow along, and with each verse, there's going to be different things revealed. So you have to fill in the blank as we're reading. So as we mentioned, we're on chapter 12, verses 3 through 20. So I'll begin. Tell the whole community of Israel, on the 10th of this month, every one of your families must procure for itself a lamb, one apiece for each household. I think that's one of the answers. You might check. What does number 1 say? Verse 3, every family must procure what? Must get ready what? Okay, write down. If a family is too small for a whole lamb, it should join the nearest household in procuring one and shall share in the lamb in proportion to the number of persons who partake of it. Verse number 5, here comes another one. The lamb must be a year-old male without blemish. Okay, those two parts. Must be a year-old male and without blemish. You may take it from either the sheep or the goats. You must keep it until the 14th day of this month, and then, with the whole assembly of Israel present, it shall be slaughtered during the evening twilight. So what should be done with all the people together? It'll be killed, okay? Then moving on to 7, they shall take some of its blood and apply it to the 2 doorposts and the lintel of every house in which they partake of the lamb. Now, if you're not used to knowing what a house has, a lintel and the doorpost would be the sides, and then the lintel would be the very bottom in which you cross over. So they would have to put some blood over all those different parts of the doorposts. That was one of the answers as well. Okay. That same night, they shall eat its roasted flesh with unleavened bread and raw herbs. It shall not be eaten raw or boiled, but roasted whole, with its head and shanks and inner organs. None of it shall be kept beyond the next morning. Whatever is left over, in the morning shall be burned up. Okay. Next we continue on. This is how you are to eat it, with your loins girt, sandals on your feet, and your staff in hand. You shall eat like those who are in flight. It is the Passover of the Lord. For on this same night I will go through Egypt, striking down every firstborn of the land, both man and beast, and executing judgment on the gods of Egypt. I, the Lord. But the blood will mark the houses where you are. Seeing the blood, I will pass over you. Thus, when I strike the land of Egypt, no destructive blow will come to you. Okay, let's check here. There's other things that we mentioned here. So, verse 7 was take some of its what? Blood. 6, and using, they don't say it directly here. Let me check, just to make sure that it's correct. Not until verse 22. Okay, they're right on that one. And then on verse 7, mark what things? What things of the house? The 2 doorposts and the lintel. And then 8, the same night the lamb must be thrown out the window? No, I don't think so. Consumed. 9 was on this night, or with, what are they supposed to eat it with? Think about what that was. So go back over to 9. So that same night they should eat its roasted flesh with unleavened bread and bitter herbs. 10, what's going to happen on verse 12? For the same night I will go through Egypt, striking down every firstborn of the land, both man and beast, and executing judgment on the gods of Egypt. I, the Lord. Executing on those people. Okay. Next, 11, what's going to happen when God sees the mark? He will pass over that house. That's how it gets the name Passover. And verse 12. This day will be a day of what? Verse 14. Let me check this again. This day will be a memorial feast for you, which all generations shall celebrate with pilgrimage to the Lord as a perpetual institution. For 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. From the very first day you shall have the houses clear of all leaven. Whoever eats leavened bread from the first day to the 7th shall be cut off from Israel. On the first day you shall hold a sacred assembly, and likewise on the 7th. On these days you shall not do any sort of work except to prepare the food that everyone needs. Keep then the custom of unleavened bread. Since it was on this very day that I brought your ranks out of the land of Egypt, you must celebrate this day throughout your generations as a perpetual institution. From the evening of the 14th day of the first month until the evening of the 21st day of this month you shall eat unleavened bread. For 7 days no leaven may be found in your houses. Anyone, be he a resident alien or a native, who eats leavened bread shall be cut off from the community of Israel. Nothing leavened may you eat. Wherever you dwell, you may eat only unleavened bread. So this is a lot of stuff about unleavened bread. However, just so you guys remember, what else do we use with unleavened bread? Not typically the bread we eat at home. I mean, tortillas are kind of like that, but the hosts, las hostias, the hosts that we eat at Mass are unleavened bread. There's no leaven in them. There's no levadura. So without any leaven or yeast, they stay flat. And that's the kind of bread that we eat, following this same tradition, because Jesus celebrated the Passover meal. Now, I think there was one last one that we need to cover. So verse 22 for number 6. Let's look at that one. Then take a bunch of hyssop, and dipping it in the blood that is in the basin, sprinkle the lintel and the 2 doorposts with the blood. And taking a bunch of hyssop. So just so you know, hyssop is a plant with woody branchlets that make a convenient sprinkler. So think of it like a little spruce branch. You put that in water and you throw that out and it sprinkles things pretty easily. So they use a little branch of hyssop and then sprinkle the doorposts. So I think you got all the answers to this particular activity. I'll hopefully see you soon for the next one. God bless.